Hi, it's David Duchovny. I want to thank first Talia and Amanda from FSG for inviting me here to talk to the librarians, and it's my honor to do so. I'm sorry I have to tape it. Um, I'm in London, and my pocket's open. Uh, it's been a long day. I've been shooting all day, but I thought I'd try and make use of the hair and makeup that's already been done on me to try to look decent. Um, but I also don't have a copy of the book, so I'm at a loss for the reading. I don't have the book memorized. Perhaps I should, but librarians and libraries hold a special place for me. My mother was a second grade teacher for many, many years at Grace Church School in New York. And there's actually a learning center, not quite a library, but close to one, in the school that she worked at for so long. That's named after her. It's an oval shape, and it's called Meg's Egg. And I have many fond memories myself of going to the Jefferson Market Library in Manhattan on 11th Street. And actually, I wrote and directed a movie called House of D, which took place in the prison that used to be next to what is now the library. So it used to be a courthouse. The courthouse, what is now a library, used to be a courthouse, and what is now a garden used to be a prison. And I wanted to write a story and make a movie about that transformation from courthouse and prison to library and garden. It was really from prison to garden. But I spent a lot of time in the Jefferson Market Library when I was a kid. I went to school on 11th Street and 4th Avenue, which was 5 or 10 minute walk from the library. I used to get a lot of homework done there. What I wanted to maybe to tell you, because I can't do any reading of the book, you're gonna have to read it yourselves. Um, but I hope you do. This is my fourth novel, and I think it's my best. It's my most ambitious for sure. I really wanted to write a novel in the great American tradition of big American novels. It's the cliche of trying to write the great American novel, but I guess I'm cliche in that way, and I really wanted to enter into that arena. And I feel proud of it. I feel like I pulled something off. Maybe not everything that I wanted to do, but that I made something happen in the book. I feel like it's a good old-fashioned plot-oriented book. It's a thriller in a way. It's a real action book, but it's also a philosophical book. I think I meant it to be, and it's really about my conception of what it is to live in America right now, or to be an American, or what America is. And it's very much an American novel. Many strands of it came together to form this book. Back in 2020, no, 2020, it's 2021 now, I'm sorry, it's late. Back in 2000, yeah, I was only 20 years off. Back in 2000, I wrote an X-File, which was somewhat based on a man named Mark Hoffman, who was a forger of Joseph Smith's religious documents. He would forge these scandalous, long rumored to be in existence documents that Joseph Smith had written, and then he would sell them to the church because he knew the church would want to suppress these scandalous, what they didn't know were forgeries. So it's kind of a lucrative business he had going there until he got found out, and then everything went haywire, and he ended up going to prison for murder. But I kind of transformed him into an X-File in a way, or a character like him. Actually, in the X-File was somebody who was forging Jesus Christ. And while I was doing that, I remembered or came across a book by Harold Bloom, who I had studied with at Yale when I was a grad student before I was an actor, and in which he had said that Joseph Smith was an American genius, the founder of Mormonism. And it always struck me as so odd because I thought, well, like most people, I was ignorant of the religion, except to the extent of what maybe people come away with from the Book of Mormon, this very kind of superficial sense. And then Harold Bloom, who was one of the greatest minds, if not the greatest, most capacious mind I've ever sat in a room next to, or read for that matter, said that Joseph Smith was a genius, and that fascinated me, struck me. I was like, this can't be true. Mormonism and genius, this can't be true. And what he was going on about was that Mormonism was an American religion, and that what I got from his discussion was that, it's in the name, it's in the Latter-day Saints. It's in the idea that miracles are still happening, that we are not belated, we are not in a world where a man or a woman can't be authentic, can't be, Mormons or Joseph Smith believe that, where God was, man is, and where God is now, man may be. This was a religion of humans transforming into gods. And it did strike me then as being quintessentially American. This idea that's long interested me about American exceptionalism, city on the hill and all that stuff. Like, why do we as Americans think that we are exceptional? Where does this come from? What is the strain of grandiosity that runs through so much of what we do? And think of ourselves. And I started to think of Mormonism really being the only religion that grew up on American soil, fully American. And Joseph Smith said, Jesus came to the States. I started to think, well, this is part and parcel of that exceptionalism, which drives America to be the biggest and the best in so many things, but also drives America to do the worst. It's the double-edged sword of our exceptionalism. And I really wanted to address that in the book. And I needed to, as the players in the book, as it started to take shape in my head, I realized, okay, here I had a story that was worthy of a big American novel. I had rapacious capitalism on one side, and I had religious fundamentalism and theocracy on this side, and in between there was sex and education. And I thought, well, that's a big book. I hope I can do it. I didn't tell you much about the book at all. I'm just trying to tell you about what went into my thought process before I sat down to write. And this took, I didn't sit down to write until 2019, right? So that was 19 years this idea was kind of gestating in a way in my head. And even so, when I began to write, the idea changed, as it does in the process of writing, which I find to be the most fascinating part. That I could sit all day and try to think a story through, but I won't think a story through until I start to write. So that's what I got for you. I'm sorry I can't read anything. If I can find a book and before this is due, the idea of a library video being due. I don't want to be overdue. I remember the stamping of my book when I took it out of the library. All these things from another age that I miss, and that were so human and supportive. The idea that books live in a library, and can be accessed by all. As much as I want people to buy my book individually, I do like that they can go to the library and take it out. So I want to thank you all for listening to me drone on without reading to you anything from my book, Truly Like Lightning. And I hope you get it, read it, put it in your libraries, and I hope you yourselves read it, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did writing it, because it was like a possession. I really wrote this in a state of mind that grabbed me and lasted until I was finished with it. So, good night from London. Not that you can tell, but thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Good night.